The Tyrant's Beloved Empress. Chapter 19. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And Changqing was not appeased. The man was such a sawed-mouth gourd, it takes a beating just to get a word out of him. If he did not take the initiative, the man would have stayed quiet for as long as he could. Had he been a little more eloquent, they wouldn't have ended up as they did in their previous lives. Why is there such a silly person in this world who simply does not gloat about all the things that he has done? And Changqing sighed in his heart, thinking that he couldn't let this go on. He looked at Xiao Zhiga with an expression filled with grievances and said in a pitiful tone, "Wang Ye, can you be upfront with me? If Changqing was not good enough, you can tell me." I was being upfront. Xiao Zhiga never thought that his reticence could upset the person beside him. His Wang Fei was facing away from him, half of his face was hidden from view while the other half showed drooping eyelashes like a listless butterfly. "You did great. The Empress and the Empress Dowager both believed it? What about you?" And Changqing suddenly turned to look at him. There was a certain sparkle in his black pupils. "Did you believe it?" Xiao Zhiga's heart softened looking into his eyes. He reached out and placed a loose strand of hair over his ear. "I believe you." No matter if it was only to flatter him up, as long as it was in Changqing's words, he would believe them. And Changqing's eyes shone brighter. He rubbed his hand against his palm and said enthusiastically, "Then whatever Wang Ye had said, I'll take it for real as well. The part about you not taking in concubines and having children with another woman." N. Xiao Zhiga was not a man who would make empty promises. Whatever he had said, he would keep true to his words. And Changqing felt a rush of happiness like never before. His heart was beating wildly and his body was heating up. He had to bite on his inner cheek to hide the surging joy, but even so, his eyes were still shining brightly, more beautiful than any star Xiao Zhiga had ever seen. "In this life, it'll be just the two of us." And Changqing couldn't help but embrace Xiao Zhiga. He rubbed his cheek against his neck before burying his face into it due to embarrassment. He then whispered a promise into Xiao Zhiga's ear, "I will always be with you." He will not watch him tread alone on the cold path towards the throne. This time, he'll accompany him. Whether it was a glorious life that would leave their names etched in history or a cursed one with a tragic end, as long as Xiao Zhiga didn't let go, he would walk that path with him. Xiao Zhiga was left in a trance. In his mind, a young voice resounded. It had said, "I will keep you company in the future." Letting out a soft smile, Xiao Zhiga replied as he had many years ago, "All right." But at the same time, the several reports that he had gotten from the spy left in the inn manor also came flooding in. The third young master is very close to young Master Li of the in-law family. Young Master Li sent a poem to the third young master. Young Master Li sent a painting to the third young master. Young Master Li is about to return to his hometown to be engaged. Before he left, he gave the third young master a jade pendant. The third young master accepted it and seemed quite upset. Xiao Zhiga's eyes fixated on the double fish jade pendant on Changqing's waist that had never left his side. His mood sank, but he couldn't help tightening his embrace. Whoever it was that resided in his heart, at least for now, and Changqing was his. He did not ask for much, only this illusory affection was something he refused to let go of. From his childhood till now, he was like a moth involuntarily drawn to the fire, unable to take his eyes away. Now that Changqing was in his arms and was even saying that he would accompany him for life, even if he knew it was mere flattery, even if he knew that it would soon be forgotten, he still wouldn't let go. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. By the time they reached the Wang Manor, the sky had turned dark. And Changqing unwillingly pulled his hand from Xiao Zhiga's warm palm to put on the heated fur coat. Even so, the drop in temperature at night still made him shiver the moment he exited the carriage. On the other hand, Xiao Zhiga was wearing that thin piece of clothing and stood in the wind like it was nothing. Eyeing him with jealousy, and Changqing devilishly stuck his ice-cold hands to Xiao Zhiga's neck. As expected, Xiao's Higa stiffened momentarily, after which, he pulled his hands down and warmed them thoroughly in his palms. "Behave, it's cold out here." And Changqing pouted and allowed himself to be led into the house. The group of servants held their heads low, whispering to themselves how Wang Fei was the only one around who dared to tease Wang Ye like so. And Changqing did not give much thought to this. Since they had promised to spend the rest of their lives together, he was not going to be a stranger. Having experienced Xiao's Higa's permissiveness the last few days, and Changqing's behavior was becoming all the more unmindful. To him, Xiao's Higa was simply a wooden post who rarely spoke. There was nothing to be scared of. Because they had not had dinner, the pair called for several small dishes to be delivered to their room. Loathing that his clothes were drenched with sweat from all the crying and kneeling earlier, and Changqing changed into a lighter garment and went to take a bath. Entering the bathroom and taking off his clothes, and Changqing realized that his thighs and knees were badly bruised. The bruises on the knees were from kneeling and those on the thighs were from him pinching himself to induce tears. It did not hurt when he was ignoring it before, but now that he had seen the dark patches, he started to feel the pain. A tiny movement could easily cause him to ache. And Changqing took a deep breath and slowly eased himself into the bathtub, deciding to clean up before applying the medicine. He spent almost half an hour soaking in the tub, and by the time he was ready to stand up, he found that it was too painful to exert any amount of strength into his legs. He tried to use his arms to prop himself out but accidentally hit his knee against the tub wall and sank back down. After splashing in the water for some time, and Changqing was almost in tears due to the pain. His face turned red and finally, he had no choice but to call for Xiao's Higa. Xiao's Higa was just in the bedroom, and after hearing him call, he came in with a slight hesitation in his footsteps. There was a brazier burning in the bathroom, creating a layer of vapor. And Changqing was sitting inside a tall tub with his hair behind him, only exposing his slender and beautiful neck. Because of the steam, his skin had turned bright pink. Xiao's Higa had to pull his eyes away and approached with unnatural footsteps. He asked in a slightly strained voice, "What's wrong? My legs hurt and I can't get up." And Changqing was also embarrassed. He looked down and said in a soft voice, "Can you carry me out?" Xiao's Higa instantly felt the string called reason tighten in his head as his eyes gazed into the water uncontrollably. He stepped back and cleared his throat. "Wait." He hurried to get a clean cloth and wiped Changqing's hair till it was partially dry, then averted his eyes and carefully carried him out of the tub. He then wrapped Changqing in a large towel and brought him back into the bedroom. After tucking him into the blanket, Xiao's Higa left as though fleeing from a battle. He stood and took in the cold wind for a few moments before ordering Anfu to bring in another brazier. When he returned, and Changqing was still wrapped up under the blanket. He stretched out his neck and looked at him. "Where did Wang Ye go?" "To get Anfu to bring in another heater." Xiao's Higa's Adam's apple rolled as he answered. He then took a new towel and continued to wipe Changqing's hair. Just as he was almost done, Anfu was at the door with the brazier. Burning in it was high-grade silver charcoal without soot or sparks. Xiao's Higa placed the brazier beside the bed and let it dry Changqing's hair while he lifted the blanket. "Where is it that's injured?" And Changqing stretched out his legs and pointed with a pout, "My knees and thighs, they're all green." The bruises now looked a lot more frightening than before. They had turned purplish and slightly swollen. Xiao's Higa only touched it gently and Changqing was already contorting in pain. Xiao's Higa creased his brows and dispersed the previous mesmerizing thoughts. All that remained were guilt and pity. He softened his touch and said gently, "Bruises have to be rubbed for them to heal. I'm going to get the medicinal wine." The thought itself already gave Changqing the jitters. These types of injuries, Changqing was quite familiar with. He was born with sensitive skin and delicate flesh. Back when he was often bullied by his relatives, causing his body to be littered with bruises, he could only endure silently for fear of worrying his mother. There were more serious injuries than this which he had braved through, but now it seemed he was no longer able to withstand it. When Xiao's Higa returned with the medicinal wine, and Chang Qing pulled back his legs and curled up into the blanket. He said in a muffled voice, "There's no need to rub it, it'll be fine in a few days. It'll get worse if you don't rub it with medicine." Xiao's Higa frowned with disapproval, but feeling heartache for his injuries, he dared not speak harshly and could only coax him, "I'll be very gentle, it won't hurt." And Chang Qing was skeptical, but he did not want his injuries to worsen, so he stretched out his legs again and said pitifully, "Then do it gently, I'm afraid of pain." Xiao's Higa responded with an N and poured the medicinal wine into his palm before rubbing it on his knee. He only used 1/10 of his strength, but Chang Qing was already complaining in a sobbing tone, "You lied." Xiao's Higa had to harden his heart to keep his hand from stopping. Seeing his eyes turning red while biting his lips to endure, Xiao's Higa began blowing unskillfully at his wound and tried to coax him clumsily, "Hubby will blow and your pain will fly away." And Chang Qing, who was on the verge of tears, suddenly burst into laughter. He nudged his other foot on Xiao's Higa's shoulder and muttered, "I'm not a 3-year-old. My mother only said that to me when I was young." "Is that so?" Xiao's Higa was briefly dazed. He said softly to himself, "So it was learned from his mother." "What?" And Chang Qing could not hear what he said and asked. "Nothing." Xiao's Higa shook his head and his frown disappeared. He continued to blow gently and said, "Bear with it a little longer." With the distraction, Chang Qing's pain was alleviated. He rested his chin on the thick blanket as he watched Xiao's Higa attentively rubbing the bruises with utmost care. The man was kneeling by the bed with a serious expression on his face. His downcast eyelashes covered up his sharp eyes. Under the dim candle light, his rigid features were blurred, bringing out a gentler side to him. The more he looked, the more Chang Qing felt satisfied and happy. Such a good person was going to be his. Why did he think that he was terrifying before? How blinded was he? Clearly this person was incredibly caring. End chapter. The Tyrant's Beloved Empress. Chapter 20. Don't get married if you don't want to. Chang Qing spent that night turning and tossing, and by the time he woke up the next day, sunlight had slipped into the room through the windows. It had snowed the night before and outside was a vast expanse of white, causing the sun rays to be particularly glaring to the eyes. Chang Qing opened his eyes in a daze and yawned. Anfu, who was waiting outside, heard the noise and entered to inquire if he wanted to wake up. "What time is it?" Chang Qing saw the daylight and asked. "It's a little past noon." "It's already that late?" Chang Qing was surprised as he raised his neck and looked out. "Why didn't you wake me?" "Wang Ye had ordered it when he left." Anfu blinked and replied, "He said that young master is tired from last night and to let you sleep a little longer." Chang Qing. He looked at Anfu and said, "Fetch some water, I want to take a bath." Anfu let out a giggle and left to make the preparations. Chang Qing opened the blanket to get out of bed and found that the pain in his legs had disappeared. He lifted his pants to take a look and found that the bruises had turned into a more terrifying shade. Last night, Xiao's Higa had rubbed the bruises with medicinal wine for a long time, causing it to spread and dispel the swelling. Only by pressing hard against the bruise would the pain emerge. As he was looking, Anfu came back with the water. Seeing his injury, Anfu was like a nosy goose being grabbed by the neck. He gasped and said, Young master. How did you get injured this badly?" After asking, a sudden realization dawned and he knocked his head, feeling silly for blurting out the question. How else did the young master get those bruises? Of course, it's from last night. Looking at Chang Qing with heartache and anxiety, he asked cautiously, "Would you like to call for a doctor?" Wang Ye must have been too rough last night. He had thought that those were just baseless rumors, but it seemed there was some truth to it. His young master had very delicate skin, How could he bear to be tossed around by him this much? Lady Yu would have a heartache should she find out about this. And Chang Qing saw his face and immediately knew what he was thinking. Stop thinking nonsense. This is nothing and you're not allowed to tell mother. Anfa reluctantly responded with an "oh" and began assisting him with washing up. After his bath, Steward Wang came to give a report regarding the two things that Chang Qing requested. One was to gather the accounts of all the shops and properties under Xiao's Higa, the other was the completion of the renovation for the house under Mount Qinyun and that several maidservants had also been sent there. Move the account books to Wang Ye's study. Just place them in the empty side room. Have the maidservants trained and send them to Qingguo Courtyard. Qingguo Courtyard was where Lady Yu and Xianyu were currently residing. Steward Wang quickly said yes. And Chang Qing asked, "How are Zhou Helan and his mother?" Steward Wang replied, "Doctor who had prescribed some medication for Lady Zhou. She's taking it now and her complexion has improved considerably. Mr. Zhou came to look for you twice but you weren't in. He made a request to the servant but thinking that he is your guest, I dare not arrange it rashly." After he brought them back from Mount Qinyun, and Chang Qing let the mother and son live in the guest courtyard and also requested Hu Shifei's help with their treatment. But after that, he was busy with the trip to the imperial palace and managed to visit them only once and had left Steward Wang to take care of their hospitality. And Chang Qing said after some contemplation, "I'll go take a look." *******. And Chang Qing went to the courtyard and saw an unexpected scene. "Mother? You heir? Why are you here?" When Chang Qing entered the yard, he saw Lady Yu and Xianyu sitting together with Lady Zhou embroidering. Lady Zhou's movements were a little clumsy. The three stood up to welcome him. Lady Yu said, "We were bored so we came for a visit." "What are you doing here?" "I came to look for Helan." And Chang Qing looked at Lady Zhou. "Ande, how are you feeling?" Lady Zhou frantically waved her hand and spoke haltingly in the local language, "I'm called Mula. Young master can just call me by my name." The Shiwei natives were nomadic. They had no surnames and only given first names. And Chang Qing smiled and shook his head. Although he had helped them and also wanted to reel in Zhou Helan, he never intended for them to work as servants for the Wang manor. Zhou Helan was by no means a man of mediocre talents. It would be best if he could be his right-hand man. And if this position was too shabby for Zhou Helan in the future, he could still be of assistance to Xiao's Higa. This way, he could keep the rich water from flowing into an outsider's field. This was why he wanted to treat the mother and son well from the start. Lady Zhou saw that he was unwilling and did not force him. "Helan is reading in the back. I'll go get him. Let me go to him." And Chang Qing did not want to disturb them and went to find Zhou Helan by himself. Zhou Helan was indeed reading and only noticed Chang Qing's arrival when he had reached the door. He quickly put down the book and went to greet him. "You don't have to greet me as such in the future." And Chang Qing said, "Steward Wang said that you came to look for me." Zhou Helan straightened up and said, "Yes. Young master had invited a doctor for my mother and even gave us a place to stay. Helan feels guilty for staying idle all day." And Chang Qing smiled and said, "I now have something for you to do." Zhou Helan was filled with enthusiasm, "I'm at your service." And Chang Qing asked, "Do you know anything about bookkeeping?" Zhou Helan nodded, "Yes." "That's great." And Chang Qing had assumed that he wouldn't know and planned to have an accountant show him the ropes. Now that he said he have knowledge of it, it would be a lot faster. "Come to the main courtyard tomorrow and work out the account books with me." After they finished the discussion, and Chang Qing and Zhou Helan went out together. In the courtyard, they saw Lady Yu showing Lady Zhou some embroidery techniques. Although Lady Zhou still had a pale complexion, she was in good spirits, smiling as she followed Lady Yu's instructions. And Xianyu sat next to them and occasionally chimed in. The scene was of great harmony. Zhou Helan stopped and looked at them for quite a while. He said softly to Changqing, I have not seen my mother this happy in a long time. After he turned 10, his father suddenly disappeared, forcing his mother to take him to Deity in search of him. Since then, he had not seen his mother's smiling face. Having searched for him these many years to no avail, she probably knew that there was little hope and began to turn seriously ill. Not wanting to burden him, she was prepared to face her death. Although Changqing did not know what he had been through, he could somewhat empathize with his feelings. He patted him on the shoulders and said, things will get better in the future. Zhou Helan smiled and stepped forward, calling out his mother. And Changqing stayed for a while before accompanying Lady Yu back to Qingwu courtyard. There, Xianyu left to unbind the embroidery frame. Lady Yu then told the maidservants to leave and dragged Changqing to one side. She asked in a whisper, are you and Wang Ye all right? Changqing did not grasp the underlying meaning and replied naturally, yes, what's there to worry about? Lady Yu patted him and said with concern, mother is asking you about that aspect. It's her son's private affairs. She shouldn't be nosy, but there was a worry in her heart and she would not be relieved unless she knew. Changqing's skin was thin and he blushed immediately. He was too embarrassed to tell her that they had not done it yet and grumbled, mother, why are you asking this all of sudden? Lady Yu was anxious, when you're together, is there anything unusual? Unusual? Changqing was stumped, how can there be anything unusual? Judging by his reaction, he was indeed confused. Only then was she reassured, nothing. I heard the rumors from outside and was worried that you're hiding your grievances from me. The rumors are all made up. Changqing was unhappy every time he heard those rumors, please don't believe whatever they spread outside. Wang Ye is a good person and he treats me very well. Lady Yu smiled and said, right, I won't pay attention to them anymore. The two spoke until Xianyu came in. As the topic was not suitable for unmarried maiden to hear, they talked about something else. Changqing, there's something that I forgot to mention. I've sent several maidservants for mother and you heir. Pick a few to serve by your side and the rest to do housework. After the new year, I will send you both to live in the house under Mount Qingyun. After the new year. Lady Yu hesitated, we've stayed here long enough that people are beginning to talk, why not move there earlier? Changqing had considered this, but he couldn't bear to leave his mother and sister alone in that house for the new year. After talking over with Xiao Zhiga, they decided to send them there only after the new year. Wang Ye does not object, who would dare say otherwise? Changqing said lovingly, please don't worry, everything will be fine. And you heir should be bored being idle all day. I'll find a female teacher for you to learn and she'll continue to teach you when you leave. The quiet Xianyu's face lit up and she enthusiastically agreed. Lady Yu saw her daughter's expression and teased, your sister is happy as long as she can study. What happens when she gets married in the future? Xianyu blushed and kept her head down. Changqing remembered the news from Anfu and said, now that you mentioned marriage. There is news regarding the Wu manor. The cheerful atmosphere immediately turned heavy. Lady Yu frowned and said, what did you find out? Xianyu also looked at him solemnly. I'll know by tomorrow. Changqing shook his head, don't worry, this marriage will not happen. But you heir would have to suffer being slandered for a few days. Lady Yu sighed and patted Xianyu's head with heartache. But as it turned out, Xianyu deviated from her timid nature and said firmly, I'm not afraid of being talked about. I don't want to marry him. Ever since Changqing revealed that Wu Wanshu might be keeping a mistress outside, Xianyu's girlish fantasy about marriage had been shattered. Although she had always been submissive and quiet, the support from her brother and mother had given her courage. This was the first time she had dared to speak her mind. She refused to get married. Changqing looked at her and thought for a long time. He then rubbed her head and said, "All right, if you don't wish to marry, then you don't have to. Anyhow, I will not let you be wronged again." End chapter. The Tyrant's beloved Empress. Chapter 21. The immortal deity who descends from heavens. The next day, and Changqing went out with Zhou Helan and Tai Hu. Xiao Zhiga left with them before parting ways at Yongli Lane. When the people saw him on the street, they did not scatter like before. Instead, they stayed and snooped around the Wang Manor's carriage, hoping to catch a glimpse of the good-looking Wang Fei and his interactions with Wang Ye. Wang Fei and Wang Ye had not been out on the street together for several days, causing a decline in new story scripts for the masses to enjoy with. Even San Wei's Eyes plum blossom cakes were not selling as well like before. Unfortunately, Wang Fei had stayed in the carriage and only opened up the curtain to wave goodbye to the northern warlord. Rumor has it that Wang Fei was like a fairy and catching a few glimpses of him could bless your offspring with beauty. It was just that the coachman had such a menacing look that it deterred away the lingering eyes of any onlookers. Under the stares of the people of Yejing, the carriage slowly made its way to the western lane. Unbeknownst to Changqing, due to the spread of those creative scripts, he had been hailed as an immortal who descended from the heavens, and all over Yejing, people would grab at any chance they could to catch a glimpse of him. Arriving at the tea house, the group was led by a waiter to the second floor. And Changqing sat and waited through a cup of tea before Anfu came in with two beggars. One was an old beggar he was familiar with, while the other one was a newcomer in his teens. Just like their previous meeting, and Changqing sat behind a screen, only allowing them to make out his silhouette. Without making idle talk, and Changqing went straight to the point, "What did you find out?" Previously, the old beggar would relay messages through Anfu. The information he gathered were either which of the Marquis Wu's young masters were taking in a concubine or trivial things like thieving servants. Until a few days prior, he suddenly claimed that he had found something incredible and requested an audience with Changqing to tell him the information in person. Thus, Changqing made this trip today. The old beggar bowed and said, "Aju is the one who discovered this, he should be the one to tell you about it." And Changqing nodded. The young beggar called Aju stepped forward, cleared his throat and spoke clearly, "I had been the one keeping watch on the Marquis's manor for several days. Nothing was out of the ordinary except for a few nights ago when young Master Wu, the person we were told to keep an eye on, sneaked out of the manor. I followed the carriage's prints and found that it had stopped at the gates of a nunnery." The young beggar changed his tone and continued, "I couldn't find the carriage, so I waited outside all night. Only when the sound of roosters crowing was heard that I saw the carriage coming out of the nunnery." A nunnery? Yes. And Changqing was in deep thought. There was indeed a nunnery right outside the city, but because of its remote location and the fact that the majority of Deyi citizens believed in Taoism, the place was scarce of visitors. This would be the perfect place to hide someone. In addition, I've also found something else. The young beggar bowed low and dared not speak. "What is it?" "You can speak," and Changqing said gently. "After my trip to the nunnery that day, I've asked my friends stationed nearby to watch the place. The day before yesterday, he told me about a crazy old woman who went to the nunnery and caused trouble. She was berating a woman, claiming that she was a vixen and had caused her son's death after hooking up with someone from a noble family. This story, which his friend had told him out of amusement, had nothing to do with the Marquis's house, but strangely enough, after they parted that day, he was nowhere to be found. Although the beggars each have their own territory, the place they sleep at night would not change. He had gone to where his friend usually stayed, but no one was there. Others had also said that they had not seen him in 2 days. His intuition told him that something must have happened, and it most likely have something to do with what's happening in that nunnery. They were vagabonds without families or relatives. It was not unusual for them to stumble upon things they shouldn't see, only to pay dearly for it. This was why he had insisted on meeting with Changqing. Maybe the information he provided could help him find his friend. After hearing his story, Chang Qing deeply pondered. Wu Wanshu's concubine was probably hidden inside the nunnery. The crazy woman who had made a ruckus and accused someone there of colluding with a nobleman and killing her son. That person was most likely to be Wu Wanshu. And this matter might even involve a life. But whether it was his last life or this one, Chang Qing had never heard of the Wu manor being involved in any murder cases. After all, they were right under the emperor's nose. No matter how powerful they were, they still would not dare to commit murder. Unless the woman was spouting nonsense or that the nobleman was not someone from the Marquis's manor. Or another possibility was that the Marquis himself had managed to bury this crime. Just like the beggar who had disappeared into thin air. Chang Qing fidgeted his fingers, thinking back to Xiao Zhiga's words to him, always strike where it hurts, and he wittily formed a plan in his head. Chang Qing said to Anfu, pay the rest of the money and reward each of them another 10 silver taels. Let this matter regarding the Wu manor from now on be sealed in your memories. The old beggar thanked Chang Qing repetitively, but the young boy hesitated before lowering his head and begged, I do not want the reward, I only hope that your grace will help me find my friend. This matter nevertheless was triggered by him. Seeing that he was still young and exhibited comradeship, Chang Qing agreed, keep the money, it's your just reward. As for your friend, I will help you look for him, but I cannot guarantee any results. Thank you, sir, the young beggar shook his head, your willingness to help is already a great kindness. If he can't be found, then that is his fate. After sending them away, Zhou Helan said, is your grace investigating the affairs of Marquis Wu? Chang Qing was surprised, you know of the Marquis Wu's manor? I've heard a little about them. It's all how the Marquis was praised for his righteous ways in regulating his family, and also for how generous and virtuous his wives are. The Marquis of Wu had 8 concubines, over 10 sons and 7 or 8 daughters. His wife and concubines were harmonious, and even his children were friendly with each other, much unlike most other families who would bicker and compete for favors. As such, the Marquis's family dynamic was the envy of many. The Marquis had many wives and children. That, Chang Qing was well aware of, but hearing this from Zhou Helan, he was quite skeptical about their harmonious relationship. Take his father for example, he had 1 wife and only 2 concubines with a handful of children, and they were already at each other's throats. Therefore, with that many wives and children, having no enmity was realistically impossible. Moreover, any family would have their own share of squabbling, and yet, the Wu manor was just overly harmonious. With something this abnormal, there ought to be misgivings hidden underneath. Chang Qing tapped on the table twice, then instructed Tai Hu, have someone investigate that nunnery. Also, keep an eye on it. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. After leaving the tea house, Chang Qing did not return to the Wang manor right away. Instead, he took Zhou Helan and Anfu to inspect the shops. So far, all the shops' accounts under the Wang manor from the previous years till now had been submitted to him. By the new year, each store manager would come to the manor to pay respects and receive their bonus. Chang Qing did not want to outrightly admonish these store managers, but knowing thy enemy is half the battle won. If he wanted to manage these shops effectively, he would have to find out the actual current situation of each of them. Due to how conspicuous the Wang manor's carriage was, Chang Qing thought it over and decided to change into regular clothing and ditched the carriage. He then strolled the streets with Anfu and Zhou Helan. Along the way, many passers-by looked at him inquisitively. Chang Qing rarely showed his face whenever he went out, so not everyone in Yejing was familiar with how the Wangfei looked. No one recognized him, and despite having 2 servants behind him, he was dressed in regular clothes, unlikely of being someone from a rich family. Many wondered where he came from and why this was the first time that they had seen him. The Deity Empire revered beauty. Whether it was male or female, anyone attractive was sure to get attention. And thus, this trip had caused Chang Qing to garner a lot of unwanted oglings, Even the ladies were bold enough to throw flowers his way. A few who had seen Wang Fei from afar whispered, "Doesn't this person look a bit like Wang Fei?" Others immediately refuted, "Nonsense. How's it possible that Wang Fei is dressed in such a shabby outfit and walks by himself?" From the tales, Wang Fei was personified to be an immortal flying through the clouds and dressed in rainbow-colored clothes made of feathers. Even if he had descended, he should still ride in a magnificent carriage and clothed in silk and brocade. Wang Ye would be with him and not let him traverse the streets on foot. How could this person in modest clothes be Wang Fei? It's simply ridiculous. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. First off, and Chang Qing went to the nearest garment store. There were many shops under Xiao Zhiga's name and he remembered that this one was well managed and had a decent reputation. Many dignitaries would send their fabric there to be tailored. However, according to Steward Wang, in recent years, its business had been robbed by other stores and also due to the declining demand for ready-made garments, the store's sales had dwindled. When An Chang Qing arrived, he saw that there were indeed very few people in the store. The store was located on the most bustling street of eastern Yejing. Logically, as the new year drew closer, the store should have been teeming with customers as new clothes would be on demand and shouldn't be like the current uncrowded state of it. And Chang Qing cast aside his suspicions and entered the place. A store clerk saw him and immediately went to welcome him. "Sir, would you like to buy clothes? Whether it's ready-made or tailor-made, we have it all." And Chang Qing browsed the store and casually pointed to a padded robe and asked, "What's the price for this?" "2 silver taels apiece." "That expensive?" And Chang Qing did not expect the price to be so high. In the Deity Empire, 1 silver tael is equivalent to 100 wen. A single wen is enough to buy 3 meat buns and 10 wen, a bucket of rice. 2 silver taels can buy 20 rice buckets, and when rationed properly, these 20 rice buckets could feed a person for half a year. No commoner would pay half a year's grains to buy a padded robe. And Chang Qing never bought clothes for himself, but he still knew that the price was outrageous. He glanced at Zhou Helan and saw him shake his head suddenly. "It's a cotton padded robe, why is it so expensive?" Who knew that when he raised the question, the clerk immediately changed his attitude. He looked at An Chang Qing from head to toe and said with contempt, "Raise your head and look at our plaque. This is Tianyi Fang. There are no cheap clothes in Tianyi Fang's stores. If you want something cheap, go somewhere else." If a customer was served with this attitude, they would leave in anger or dispute with him. And Chang Qing frowned. Even if it's Tianyi Fang, doesn't mean it's reasonable to charge 2 silver taels for a cotton padded robe. Cotton and hemp fabrics were bountiful and inexpensive in Deity, even the peasants could afford them. The clerk sneered and waved his hand impatiently, "If you can't afford it, then don't come here. You have a good face but dress like a pauper. Your beauty is wasted on you." And Chang Qing was driven out of the store like a pest. Anfa was enraged. He was about to confront the clerk but was stopped by Zhou Helan, who shook his head at him. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. "Hey, look. There's a beauty over there." On the second floor of a restaurant diagonally opposite Tianyi Fang, Xiao Zhiga was having a drink with several members of his platoon. Towards the end of the year, the barracks outside the city were on holiday. Several generals decided to have some fun and dragged Xiao Zhiga along. Xiao Zhiga was not a sociable person, but these generals had been with him for many years and they had formed a close bond. Even when he couldn't care less for the drinking, he still agreed to come. However, while the others were loud and rowdy, Xiao Zhiga was drinking in silence. Hearing He Lao San's exclamation, Xiao Zhiga did not even lift an eyelid. He was thinking in his heart that on the way home later, he should drop by Zhufuzai and buy a roast duck to bring back home. He had heard that the roast duck from Zhufuzai was particularly good. Just when he was deep in thought, someone beside him said excitedly, "Wang Ye, look, is that person's beauty comparable to Wang Fei?" They had long heard of the rumors and read the scripts. Knowing that Wang Fei's beauty was a sight to behold, they were envious of Xiao Zhiga and at the same time felt happy for him. Unfortunately, Xiao Zhiga put on a straight face every day and kept his Wang Fei well hidden. None of them were able to have a glimpse of this dazzling figure. Now that they had spotted this rare beauty, they couldn't help but compare. Xiao Zhiga turned sullen when he heard their words, and when he was about to have a word with them, he caught sight of a familiar figure. He squinted and found that there was a commotion happening in the streets below. With haste, he got up and left the place without a word. Everyone at the table was stupefied as they stared at his hastily emptied seat. After snapping out of their daze, he Lao San whined loudly, "Oh ho! Wang Ye just ran off to find a little beauty." End chapter.